Welcome to Lockercode, where football is not just fantasy, but our reality, where you can express your excitement, your tensions, or even frustrations about the games, your team, your league, and performances of players. Let's go! Yo, welcome back, Lockercode DFS, yo. One day before Sunday football, my dudes.
less than 24 hours. Well, we have 22 hours until 1 o'clock kickoff.
1 o'clock kickoff. Oh, man. Let's go. Man.
Yeah. Week 2 is looking a little dicey on these prices, but, it won't be as easy as the first week was. I hope everybody was profitable the first week, but, we keep grinding and we learn from everything that we make. Just, if you put in lineups, you break even, that's still a win in my eyes. So, you get another shot at it.
Yeah, week 2. What's your game plan, man? What's your game plan? So what's good, man? So we got FanDuel cash games we want to talk about. Obviously, we want to talk about GPPs, right? So let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. What do we have right now? What do you want to talk about, Myth?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we should mention, before you can move forward, you got to take a quick look at the past. There are a lot of players that hurt us last week that hurt themselves too. Most hurt, Raheem most hurt. Yeah. We got the Marcus Callaway situation. Really all the chalk plays, James Robinson as well. So those players hurt. But the thing is, we still ended up cashing because the average pay line to cash on 50-50s and DraftKings was 100.6 points. Yeah. So even if you had those players in your lineup, very likely your opponents had them in their lineups. And as long as you were diversified in the other spots, then you came out ahead. The typical week, you would need about 128 points or 130 points to be able to cash in. So that's the main thing I wanted to review from last week.
And don't get crazy, because don't get frustrated or anything like that, man. Mozart, I think Mozart was a sure pick. It's just that injury kicked in hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of those unexpecteds, right? So listen, Eli Mitchell's looking good back there, right? So,
so process over results. We had the call right, just the wrong player.
Just the wrong player, wrong timing. We thought he was going to get injured at the end of the game. But let's talk about that too, man. We got, the James Robinson situation and the Callaway situation, right? Obviously, it was misses in our lineup, the unexpected. How did you feel about the Callaway situation?
I think it was game script, honestly. And it's Winston's first game. He came out there and threw perfect. And it was what the defense allowed, and you just play a perfect game. I don't think it was a Callaway doing anything wrong. It's just game script when how this all happened. And he only threw the ball 23 times or something like that.
Yep, correct.
So
he was good. This week he about to.
It won't happen again, people.
He even threw the ball away when there was nobody there. He wasn't taking no chance.
No risk, yo. He wants to keep that job. This is a contract year, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the lineup building for week 2 now, man. How are we looking to kind of work that?
Yeah, so for lineup building, I went and did a little research for the formula. Just want to make it clear, it's still a formula, right, that we use to kind of determine if a player may or may not return value. Because if you look at it, there's players that you want to pay down for, but you can pay down for that player and then they don't deliver anything. You could pay down for a player and that's the player that saves your lineup. So the formula that we really like is the value formula. So how value is calculated, whatever the player price is, you divide that by 1,000. So a player worth priced at 8,800, then you divide that by 1,000, then that would be 8.8. And then you go the projected fantasy points. Now, a lot of people don't do projections, but if you have a platform that you can use based on how you normally do things, Damian Harris is the example I want to use. Damian Harris is, let's say he's projected for 15.7 points. You would divide that 15.7 by the pricing. It's 5,400 for him. So 5,400 divided by 1,000 is 5.4. So and then you divide the 15.7 divide by the 5.4, and then that's a player that's going to return 2.9 times on his value. So for cash games, you typically need about 2.5 to 3 times return on any given player in order to have a decent lineup. And that allows you to be a little bit flexible in other areas. So just a little thing that I wanted to bring up. It's easy to look at it after the fact and just go over those numbers, but it's something it's worth looking at, because if the average pay line is 128 points, you need to plan accordingly. See if these players are going to add up to that 128 points.
I agree with you. Definitely. Mm-hmm. So, man, let's go to cash games, man. What are your week 2 cash game targets, man? It's crazy because now everything – we got through week 1.
Yeah.
Last week was easy. Now let's talk about week 2. What are we looking at on the cash game target site?
Let's start at QBs.
Let's start at QBs, man.
Yeah.
One of them is Justin Herbert. Obviously, we're targeting the Dallas defense here. Dallas historically is a team that is a shootout. That's, it's like Texas, so they just shoot it out there. So that's what we're looking at. And he has the weapons. He has Keenan Allen. He has Mike Williams. He has Eckler. He has Cook. So, and it's a team that Dallas can lead this game. Regardless, he's going to have to throw the football.
Right.
So he's a great target, and that's what that scheme is about. And he's also 7,600 on FanDuel.
Yep.
So
7,600 on FanDuel, 67 on DraftKings.
Yeah. And they played against Washington, and both his top receivers had over 10 targets. And Washington's a good defense.
Yeah, really liking Herbert this week because of the big uglies. They played Washington, as Paul said, didn't even get sacked, and the Cowboys just lost DeMarcus Lawrence, which was like their best pass rusher. When you don't have a pass rusher, you don't have corners, it's going to be an explosion. And then we got Dak on the other side that's going to push him. So, man, is it wrong to say Justin Herbert is going to go for 400 yards and
I think it's
3
crazy.
touchdowns?
I think it's crazy for 400 yards. But it's definitely going to be a shootout, man. I think the Dak Prescott situation and the Herbert situation, they're going to just go back and forth. And Dallas has to win, bro. I mean, we know how the defense for Dallas is right now, so you see Herbert just going to be throwing that ball. Keenan Allen catch it. Mike Williams out there. Other guy we got was Jalen, right? Hurts from Philly, right? The unexpected week 1, right? He went crazy. He went off. Great pick last week. You look at him this week.
Yeah, I'm going right back to Jalen Hurts. It's more than that. It's more so looking at cash games, how we build our lineup. We want to stay floor. We got to rush for over 60 yards in game 1. FanDuel only gets 4 points, so that's 1.5 touchdowns. Right. That's your floor? Give me that. Put that in my lineup every week. Also was looking at Russell Wilson. If you want to pay up, he's going to be in a game script where he's going back and forth, dueling with Tannehill, who everybody is down on. But those boys, that offense can put up points. So, that's what he.
Yeah, they can, bro. So next guy we got is Prescott on the other. In that same division, right? So how we talked about going Prescott. Prescott's at 6,800 with DK, about 8,000 on FanDuel. How do you guys feel about Prescott?
Monster. Like we know he's going to throw. He could go for 400 yards. It's highly possible. He has the weapons in Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Zeke. I know Gallup is out. He also has Schultz there. So he's a guy that they lost the first game, America's team. They're going to come out and try to win. Chargers is not a bad defense, but they're not a prolific. They're not a great defense either. So he went up against Tampa. He played very well, 3 touchdowns, I think 403 yards. Yep. So we could see a replication of that this coming week.
Agree.
Russell Wilson. What about Russ? See,
Russ cooks. Russ is gonna cook. I mean, Jesus, this guy has DK Metcalf going up against we don't know who.
It don't
like,
matter, right?
I still don't know the name of these corners. Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Like this guy's an automatic starter, and he constantly throws to the end zone. He targets Gerald Everett, who came out of nowhere to be a factor for him. So he has the weapons, and he's 8,500 for a reason. This guy just constantly, and he has the rushing floor as well, just like Hurts. So these are the guys that you want in your cash game lineup.
One thing about Russell too and that offense, last year they were very hot as well. They started the season very hot. So they're one of those teams that start very hot and then they kind of cool off midway and later down the line. So look for another hot week from this team. Maybe just a different person instead of Lockett. Maybe it is Metcalf.
Yeah.
Like
they go week by week, bro. You just got to catch them, right? All right, so let's go into cash games running backs, man. Who are your top running backs right now that you guys are looking at? We agree.
Go ahead, Paul.
Najee Harris is one that I like. The volume is going to be there. He's going up against the Raiders, not a tough defense. And we expect this guy to break out, Last week against Buffalo, the game script was a little different, but he got the volume. So I think he's going to get the volume again. It's at home in Pittsburgh, and at 6,100 on FanDuel, I think he could return 2.5 to 3 times his value. I see at least 2 touchdowns in this one.
And we really like Derrick Henry this week. I know everybody's panicking. This guy, he has this issue where if he doesn't score or catch passes, then he's a problem. But plot twist, this guy caught 3 passes last week. So
he did.
If we look at it, last week they played against the Colts. Jonathan Taylor was able to do damage. Jonathan Taylor caught 7 passes. Nyheim Hines caught passes. So, if this is a situation where Henry has to catch passes, this might be the week that we see the best pass catching game of his career. So, yeah, so it's it's a safe guy to work with. And if they get into that end zone, I don't see Seattle having the personnel necessary to stop Derrick Henry. They already struggle in the secondary, so they need all the help they can back there.
All right. The next guy we were talking about or we agreed on is Damian Harris, right? Just got an alert. The right tackle, Trent Brown's going to be out this week. Does that affect anything? I mean, it's the Patriots against
don't care. We don't care.
Yeah, Damien Harris is going to do his thing, man. He goes up against the Jets this week. Not a strong defense. He played well against Miami last week. As of right now, he's the best individual offensive weapon on the team. Mac Jones is still a rookie, second game of the season. He's not going to in a New England Belichick offense. You're not going to come out and just throw a bunch of passes, So look for Harris to really be that main source of volume.
I think he played well last week. He had over 100 yards. The only problem was he just did not score. If he would have scored, that would have been on the next level. It's still a great pick, and I think this week he's going to get the same value. He's going to get over 100 yards. I just think at this point he's going to get at least 1 or 2 touchdowns, especially against the Jets.
Yeah, and then we hope that he doesn't fumble as well, because that's kind of the issue. And I know we said this last week, but there's a little bit of clarity in that backfield.
Yeah,
right?
There is.
It's weird.
I don't, you brought up the fumbling part, right? Listen, if you look at the plays that were happening in the Dolphins defense, every player was trying to punch the ball out of every person's, so it's not necessarily him in general, right? So the next guy we got is Hunt. Right, we looked at Chubbs and we looked at Hunt and we're like, yo, there's a clear difference in cash value there, right? So we decided on going with Hunt. Why? Why go Hunt over Chubb?
Man, let's make it clear. No disrespect to Chubb. Like, this guy is a monster.
This is all about money.
Yeah, this is all about cost, man. You're talking $8,400 for a guy that doesn't catch passes, and this game could get out of hand really early. And we've seen situations where that does happen. You see Chubb on the sidelines, and this is not a situation where we're going to pay $8,400. Like when you're paying up for a running back, he has to do that much more to return on his value. And it's not to say that Hunt is the better player, but at the price where he is at, well, it's still the same O-line, it's still the same offense, and this guy is almost as good as Hunt. Almost as good as Chubb. So when you get that kind of pricing, that's kind of something I want to target.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like you're going to get the same amount. Points probably going to be different, about 5 to 6 points, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like if Chubb gets 25, Hunt's around 18 to 20, right? And that's what, $2,500 difference?
Yeah,
I need to use that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to use that money somewhere else, and I know that's going to give me that extra 10 points, 15 points just for me to, go after. So I agree with you on that one. Let's go wide receivers, man. Yo. First guy we got is DK Metcalf. That's who we going after. $7,600, right? So what do you guys? What do you think?
DK Metcalf. So we just touched on it. We know Russell's going to come out and have a really good game against Tennessee. And it's either the Tyler Lockett or Metcalf show. So Metcalf gave massive games last week. He's due for one. Tyler Lockett got his. I think this is Metcalf's week. We don't know who those corners are. Like we have no idea who they are. Right. But it's DK Metcalf. You're not going to be able to stop him. So I think he catches a major bomb in this one, takes it to the house, and gets another one on the red zone. So.
Yeah, just to add to that, Metcalf is priced cheaper than Lockett. For why, I don't understand. So take advantage while you can, because everything will adjust back. But yeah, Metcalf is going to be a beast this week. Again, we talk about the game script. Having a team on the other side that's going to help push you, that's exactly what we have. And, with the safe floor, which leads on to the next guy, CD Lamb at $6,800 for our cash games. This guy is going to play even more around the lineup. There's no Michael Gallup this week, so lineup inside, outside, whatever they can to try to get that advantage. And, Cooper got majority of the targets before last week when they played against the Bucks. I think it flips this time. I mean, it's not like he didn't get a lot. He still had over double-digit targets, so maybe he gets a little bit more this week. And that's somebody I'm really looking forward to as a pillar on my team this week.
All right. Justin Jefferson. How you guys feel about Justin? Not a good game last week. The ball went to Thielen. Minnesota's playing
Arizona. He still scored.
And he still scored. So, how do you feel about Justin Jefferson this week?
I mean, Justin Jefferson still got 9 targets last week. He caught 5 of them. They're going up against Arizona this week. Arizona's going to put points on the board. Minnesota's defense is horrible. Vegas even has one of the highest scoring games. So that means that the ball is going to have to be thrown. Kirk Cousins to throw the football. I see Justin Jefferson blowing the top possibly in this one. Thielen is going to get his too, but I think he's a better floor. Or they both have good floors, but I think it's going to be a Jefferson 2 touchdown day.
All right, for the guys that are scared as hell because of Arizona, Chandler Jones going off 5 sacks last week. J.J. Watt, potentially probably going to go off this week against Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins just a slippery guy as far as first, second, third quarter. It's not a good game. And then fourth quarter, he goes off. Do you see that's going to happen? Because if you're going after Jefferson, that means, hey, you believe Kirk Cousins is going to have a monster game. Is that what we see? Is that what we think?
Not really, because I think this is a team. With Arizona, you really got to worry about their front seven. That front seven is ridiculous. Their pass rushers are going to pin their ears back, try to get to the quarterback. But Minnesota is one of the few teams that have the offensive line that can keep up with these guys. You know, they've invested into it. That's why whenever they get to the goal line, you see Dalvin Cook rushing the ball. So, you know, they're really confident in what they have. We're confident in what they have, and you know, you can count on Kirk Cousins to get Justin Jefferson the ball. It is a very streamlined offense. It's either Thielen or it's Jefferson, and playing against this defense with no corners, it's going to be Jefferson that gets a really good game. He has the opportunity to explode. You know, I don't know if I got to say this for every player that we say, but game script.
Yeah, the game
script. You got
script.
Kyler Murray on the other side. Yeah. Game script. They're going to have to throw the ball. This is not going to be where Mike Zimmer thinks he can just rush the ball 50 times this game. They're going to have to throw it.
All right, so before we get into tight end, we got one more player on a team that we all had different players on that specific team, right? So we're going to go to Tampa, right? Each one of us had a different player in Tampa. Break down why. I had AB, right? I think you had Evans, P?
No, I never had Evans. No,
Evans is all me.
Evans is all you. You had Godwin. That's right. All right, so drop the Evans situation since, you know, Evans only had 3 targets last week. Why Evans in this one?
Mike Evans has got to be. If there's an MVP, there's a most hated player because he does this all the time. You know, there's always this guy here. I think this is the week that he just blows this game wide open, and it's always been those situations where you're disappointed with Mike Evans, and he shows up next week and nobody is on him. We're talking about 2% ownership. But even before that, I think he is cash game eligible. The game does start at some point with Evans. All he has to do is beat that corner, and he's capable of it. Throughout his career, we look at him as if he's a jump ball receiver. He gets downfield, even if it's a contested pass. Tom Brady has shown the trust in him, even targeting him in the end zone where they're at the 1 yard line. You know, that's the type of player he is. I think this guy is going to have a massive game, but he's also cash game eligible for me.
What about Godwin, man?
To me, that's Brady's favorite target. He had the most targets last week. Compared to how Brady likes to pass the football, he's not much of a deep threat type of guy. I mean, he does it. We saw it with AB. But it's not consistent. It's Godwin that's the consistent thing. So I think he's the safest guy for a cash game.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think, and I go with, you know, I went with AB, and I agree with the same scenario, same situation. I just feel like Evans he doesn't look at Evans first, right? And it all depends on the script, like we were saying. What's the script? And the higher percentage of the script is always Godwin and AB, right? You're looking at a deep threat. Godwin's going to get those catches. He's going to get those targets. I think with AB, remember we said last week, it's like AB's not going to get targets. He's going to get 4 to 5 targets, and AB is going to do well with those 4 to 5 targets that he receives, right? And one of those targets is going to be a 50-yarder, and one of those targets was a 50-yarder. So you're looking at, hey, we're going to try to push this game to 14 points, and that deep threat is going to be AB in one of those passes. I'm not expecting multiple targets for AB. That's with Godwin. I don't expect a lot of target with Evans, but I do expect that big play game that AB is going to bring out there. So I see AB with a touchdown, see AB getting 30 points again for fantasy football, and winning me week 2. Winning me these cash games. Don't even start AB, start Evans. Definitely the guy to go get,
yeah.
Yo, so we got tight ends, man. Let's go with tight ends here. We talked about Kittle and Goddard, right? Let's go with Kittle first. Why Kittle?
Also make it clear, we're not ignoring the Waller situation. 19 targets has a lot of people mad last week. But Waller is just, it's a completely different situation. Ravens were down a couple players in their secondary. And, on those 19 targets, he was running wide open for a lot of them, and Derek Carr still missed them. So what happens when TJ Watt is in Derek Carr's face? You think he's really going to hit him if he couldn't do it when he was running wide open?
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of risk there. With Kittle, $300 less, $6,700 on FanDuel. Why I trust in Kittles? Because the Eagles play predominantly zone defense as far as what we saw this season. And they're just historically really bad against the tight end position. Like, that was a target all last season. They didn't really help. They brought in the linebacker, Eric Wilson, which is supposed to be a coverage linebacker. He hasn't done much. The safety, Rodney McLeod, is still out. So Kittle is going to pick his spots. He's going to chill in there. We're looking at 5-6 catches, 80-plus yards, and a TD. So I really believe in this guy.
All right. Goddard. What do we think about Goddard?
So Goddard, Philly plays against San Francisco. They're going to have to throw that football. San Francisco could put up points, and San Francisco has no secondary. So I think they're going to target and attack through the air, and Goddard is one of those prime guys. He had a touchdown last week, 4 or 5 targets. So I see that consistency in the cash game.
Sounds like it's going to be a Smith and Goddard situation up in 49ers.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, don't count out Rager because he's good for a bomb. Always good for a bomb.
All right, man. So let's go to Gpp Contest, man. What contest to invest in right now?
Yeah, so there's a few contests that I looked at, mainly on FanDuel and DK. The FanDuel has 100K Sun NFL Spike. It's a $5 single entry. You want single entry? That way you're not fighting computers, okay? They're going to put in their best and brightest lineup, and this is going to be a situation where it's just really structured. That way you can win. So the minimum cash line, you need about 26% of people are going to win money, and it's a really good investment. The other one that I looked at, I believe is already closed, but it had less than 4,000 people. The FanDuel $2,000 Sun NFL Small Sweep. $25 you get in. It's not a big pool. Also single entry. You're minimizing your risk there against those computers.
It's not full yet. Is it the one? Yeah, the 125 Sun NFL Sweep single entry.
No, it was the Small Sweep.
Small Sweep, yeah.
Yeah, Small Sweep. Small Sweep is probably full. On DraftKings, there are 2 other ones. The NFL 400K Fair Catch, $12 single entry. I mean, you guys see the theme here with our cash games and with our GPPs. We try to keep it single entry. You're going to throw a lot of money away if you're throwing in 20 lineups every week at $5 a pop. That is not how we want to play this game. Yeah. So you want to be profitable, be disciplined, and that's why we're attacking these games. DraftKings has another one. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $27, the NFL Blindside. Once again, single entry. It's a smaller pool of people to worry about. And, those games, you enter them and don't do multiple of these. I mean, if you can, definitely attack the $5 one, and just play to your advantages. And don't forget, 25% GPP, 75% cash if you can. Stay profitable.
Yep. I agree with you. Let's go with shadow coverages, man. Wide receiver versus cornerback matchups, man. What do you got? Who are you scared of?
Well, if we're the defense, we would be scared. But yeah, there's a lot of corners that we pick on these teams. It's really the same thing over and over, and it's not like we're trying to change the wheel here. Just certain defenses are really good for us to attack. Vernon Hargreaves is going to get Donovan Peoples-Jones, which is playing for Cleveland. If James Cribb doesn't get out of hand, that's somebody that can do very good damage against 80%. That defense with the Texans is 80% cover 2 zone. I cannot believe that Jacksonville did not take advantage of the situation, but really it's just.
I mean, it's because
man.
Lawrence is new to this, and he doesn't see those things, man.
Yeah. But, man, he's going to learn.
Yeah.
We do not have that issue with Baker Mayfield. If you do leave a dude open, he will he hits the open guy. He always does.
Well, one of the guys we're looking at, man, let's talk about, everybody's going to probably go after Pittman, right, this week.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough matchup for Pittman. Going against the Colts, going against the Rams, and Jalen Ramsey is there. And Ramsey is not, once he locks on you, he's locked on you no matter what side you go to this year. And Ramsey is playing tough ball this year. I mean, he's tackling everywhere. I'm talking proper tackling. So Pittman is a guy that you don't want to – that's not a steal in DFS right now. That's the guy you're like, nah, I'm leaving that one alone.
Yeah.
That one alone.
And I'm not even sure he's healthy for this game to make things worse.
Yeah,
so if he does suit up, why is he inactive? If he does suit up, you still want to avoid him no matter what. Just don't do that.
Yeah. You got Emmanuel Sanders in Buffalo playing the Dolphins defense. Yes, Emmanuel Sanders obviously on Buffalo squad. Josh Allen's going to be throwing that ball. That's another guy you may want to watch out for because of the two type of cornerbacks that Miami has right now. So you got Howard over there and you got Byron Jones over there and they're rotating of safeties. So that's going to be an interesting matchup at that point too.
It's not a Diggs type of game this week.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
It's definitely not a Diggs type of game this week. This is going to be those tough games.
Yeah, and we are playing these players. Well, maybe not Emmanuel Sanders or Michael Pittman, but if you have Diggs, you're starting Diggs.
Yeah, you have to.
When it goes into a GPP lineup, you're making these decisions. You might want to pivot and go somewhere else.
Yeah, you have to play him because he's that guy. But understand, there's that 50-50 chance of what's going on. So especially when you're playing cash games, as we just verified, you got to look at those things. Hey, do you want to put your money on this right now against this type of defense, right? And obviously every defense we look at that, right? What other player that you're looking at as a tough matchup for DFS right now?
Actually, I focus more on the spots that I can attack this week. We're going back with Hopkins. We definitely are. Yeah, he's priced up to 8,500, but we don't care.
Yeah,
we really do not.
It's Hopkins at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, focused on the players, the defenses that we can attack. These corners, they make our list of worst corners almost consistently every single week. And, you pick the right matchups and you'll be all right.
Yeah. So what do we have as we want to talk about GPP ownership projections, right? Who do you think is going to be the highest owned player, least owned player, and where are you at?
Well, if we get into the lineups, because these are going to be some of the same players that we discussed, if we get into our targets for quarterback, wide receiver, then we can breeze through the targets for these corners. Shall we start with quarterback?
Yeah, let's go with quarterback.
All right. So we talked about ownership. Ryan Tannehill is somebody nobody wants to touch this week. Yeah,
because of what happened last week.
Because of last week's game.
Yeah. So I have projected ownership of about 4% on both sites, and it's like that for a reason. But he's only 6,300, and this is going to be a game where they have to throw the ball. They are going to lean on Henry a little bit, try to establish the run, but if Russell Wilson puts this game out of hand, he has no choice. A.J. Brown is healthy. He gets his maintenance days for rest because of the two knees, but when this guy is on the field, he's a monster. I am concerned about Julio Jones because he had trouble separating last week and apparently is in the coach's doghouse. But
that's because of the penalty. I think he's going to be all right, man. But it's just really Tannehill getting that ball to him. That's really what
exactly. Yeah, and that is an offense, funnel offense. Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, and he's going to be low owned. Man, I think he has the rushing upside. Tannehill does rush the ball at the goal line, so that's somebody that I'm targeting in GPPs this
And I don't see them playing two bad games. That offense has too much firepower for it to go, and Seattle is not a good defense.
Yeah,
no.
So, All right, what's the next quarterback that we have here? I think we had we were talking about Bridgewater, or was it Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan.
It's both.
It's both. All right, let's go for Bridgewater.
Both are good GPP options, but it's GPP, so know that they could bust on you. So I like Matt Ryan more because of his offensive weapons, Calvin Ridley and Pitts. They're also going up against Tampa, who does not have a good secondary or good corners. I like Matt Ryan a little bit better than Bridgewater because of those reasons, and Matt Ryan can produce 3 touchdowns. Teddy, on the other hand, they have two backs there. Jerry is out, but he has an easier matchup. I think it's Jacksonville that they play, right?
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
It's me personally, man, it's Bridgewater. Listen, I'm going against a guy. Yeah, I know no Font is there. Right?
Yeah.
You got your 2 running backs that's there that's going to be able to get the ball. You got Cortland Sutton. You got Tim Patrick that's, fighting for position with KJ Hamler. Bridgewater's going to throw that ball. You're going against Jacksonville D. This is not Jacksonville D from the past. This is Jacksonville baby D, right? On top of that, you have an issue at home now because the conversation that's happening right now is your coach don't want to be your coach anymore. So you already have frustrations there now, right? So I think this is a game for Bridgewater to exploit. These boys may not even want to play for him after this. They didn't want to play for him when they brought what's your boy name? Tight end from Florida Gators now.
Tebow.
Tebow. Tim Tebow. When they brought Tim Tebow in, players was like, why you got Tim Tebow in this joint, yo? Like, the respect wasn't there. So I don't think this team is really right now playing for him. And I think this is when, Bridgewater can exploit that defense right now.
The only thing to be careful with Bridgewater is they have a good defense, Denver, and they're playing against Jacksonville, which is not a powerhouse team. Can be a low-scoring game, and Bridgewater historically has never thrown more than 2 touchdowns.
Correct.
If he comes out and bombs for 4, you're winning a lot of money that week.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, so we got let's talk about Matt Ryan's situation right now. How do you feel about
Matt Ryan? I'm looking at 1% projected ownership. Nobody wants this guy. He threw up a dud. If you have him in your fantasy, if you started this guy, it was probably out of necessity, and he's on waivers today.
Yep.
So, but that's a team that's going to have to throw the ball. I don't see Calvin Ridley getting less than 10 targets this game. And, when Ridley gets his targets, he produces. And this is a guy that nobody is going to be on. And that's the perfect guy that we look for in GPP. And he's 5,600 because they understand that gives you so much lineup flexibility.
Yeah, he's going to throw that ball.
Yep, he has to.
Now, obviously our biggest running back right now is C-Mac. Do we really even need to have this conversation about C-Mac, man?
No, not at all. The only conversation we need to have is why is he so expensive? But we know the answer.
Because he produces week after week after week.
And whenever you use CMC, just know people are going to shy away from that pricing. But the floor is there.
The floor is there. You need to spend that money just because of the floor.
Yeah, RB1 without scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also he's
insane.
also the only RB1 that I can remember from forever, pretty much, that outproduces more, gets more targets than most receivers as well.
Yes, yeah, especially on that offense, they can go 11 personnel and put Terrence Marshall in the slot. And that has no impact on CMC. He's getting the ball.
Yeah, no impact at all. Yo, by the way, shout out to whose kicker? Was it the Giants kicker or Washington? Yeah, shout out to him, yo. 22 fantasy points is just ridiculous, bro. You got more fantasy points than your running back, your quarterback. Like, shout out.
Who you trying to hurt today, man?
Not yet, man. I'm just trying to put it out in the air. The universe here. Second guy that we have is Derrick Henry. We kind of figured, hey, listen, bad game last week, bad offense last week. This week they'll put it together. Think it's a steal. It's cheaper this week too. It's going to be cheaper this week than next week. I know that much.
Yep.
Right? But one of the other players that we are looking at is like Elijah Mitchell and Chris Carson, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about these two guys. Well, let's start off with Elijah Mitchell. Why Elijah Mitchell?
You want to go, man?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Elijah Mitchell is in this backfield. We talk about it. It was the same profile with Mostert. The name does not matter in that backfield. 10 touches could become like a top 5 RB. And this is a situation where I don't really like. We saw Atlanta start off, had really great success against the Eagles defense. They did tighten it up, but Atlanta does not have Shanahan.
Yep, that's correct.
And the 49ers, with this scheme that they run, the zone blocking scheme is just, he is the guy out there. He's way in the forefront. The guy that backs him up now was inactive last week, so we don't even know what to expect out of him. I mean, he could potentially be a good play, but at 5,800, I'm not passing up on Elijah Mitchell. I'm going to get him at least one lineup. This guy is going to go off.
A great pickup. We just hope he's going to go off and Sermon doesn't come up there and they be like, Elijah Mitchell, you're a healthy scratch.
Yep.
It's a great pickup. Let's go with Chris Carson, P.
So Chris Carson, he's the man that produces that always is forgotten.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the likes of the Russell Wilson and the DK Metcalf and the Tyler Lockett, but he produces week after week. He's one of the safest guys out there, but he could also come in and give you 3 touchdowns. He's done it before. So the only thing you have to worry about with him is injuries, but he's a guy that everybody overlooks in regular drafts and they overlook in DFS as well. So easy week this week against Tennessee defense. He catches the ball as well. He could score from you from any angle. So I think he's a good GPP pick.
Yeah, he's that forgotten player. I mean, he grinds and grinds and grinds the ball down the field, and then all of a sudden you got that deep play, and then you forget what he actually did that whole game. He's the guy that usually gets out of there with 100 yards and a touchdown, and no one even knew it actually occurred.
Yep. You know what I mean? Silent but deadly.
Yeah, silent but deadly, yo. That whole game, he be like had 101 touchdown. They'd be like, yo, dang, he got 5 yards in the touchdown. You know what I mean? He just grinds and grinds. So that's a great pickup, man. So let's go to receivers, man. We got a load of receivers out there right now that we want to go after. One of the names that we went after in cash games was Justin Jefferson, right? We talked about Chris Godwin, but let's go with Chase Claypool first. Why Chase?
Chase pay down option, believe is $5,000, and we see the upside with this guy. Though there's some people comparing him to Davante Adams, and Burrow does have the accuracy to make a Davante Adams type of player. So I have a lot of faith in Chase. He's an excellent pay down option, especially if you end up going with Hopkins and with 8,500. That he's going to give you lineup flexibility. He is in a crowded receiver room, but this is, man, like a top 5 pick. This guy has the talent.
Yep.
And yeah, so this is somebody that I am on for this week at $5,000. This price will adjust.
Easy.
Yep. Yeah, less than 10% ownership too. So,
yeah. And I predict Deontay's not going to catch a couple of balls, so Ben's going to be like, I'm going to throw it at Claypool.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that too. What about Jamar Chase, man?
I thought we were just talking about Jamar Chase.
Did we? Yeah, I think we.
I even threw out Burrow, but Chase Claypool. I mean, the Chasers are gonna eat this. So.
What do you got?
Yo, I was looking at my lineups. I had a lineup for the Chasers and Mike.
I was about to talk about Javante. I thought you were talking about Chase Claypool.
No, go ahead. What's you said Devontae. What about Devontae?
Devontae.
Oh, I thought you said Devontae just now.
No. Okay. I mean, I could throw one out there that I like for GBP is Waddle. Another one that I like out there is Allen Robinson, who I think is going to eat. I mean, you can't really go wrong with none of these guys. So I think Waddle is going to be this guy Tua's favorite target. Obviously, he is a big factor in them winning last week. He's also super talented, and I mean, it's a what is it, a conference game?
Yeah.
Divisional
game.
Divisional game. So and it's at home. So look for Waddle to come out and smash.
Man, I agree with you. I think it's funny enough, man. I know it's gonna be Waddle. Oh, I think it's gonna be Waddle, but I also believe that it's gonna be a sneaky receiver. Like I believe White is gonna be blocked by Parker. It's gonna match up with Parker out there. Someone's gonna match up with Waddle, but I do feel like that sneaky guy may be Wilson. This week Fuller does not play, but I think this week it may be Wilson that has like that sneaky pick. But listen, you got to go Waddle on this one. You got to see how Waddle is. But,
the speed.
Yeah, that speed. And it's everywhere. It's just about them using it. You know what I mean? Let's go tight end, right? We had 3. We talked about Goddard already, right? Jared Cook. Let's start with Jared Cook, and then we go to Cole Kmet.
Jared Cook, 5 of 8 targets last week. Again, we talked about a high-powered, heavy-throwing offense. They're going up against the Dallas Cowboys. So what do we want? We want a team with no defense and a high-powered scoring team. So they're I believe if they're they're tied for the second. Actually, they're the highest scoring game Vegas has on the slate. So that's fantasy friendly, right? So we have the likes of Cook. We have the receivers out there on the other side. We have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. But Jared Cook is a good GPP play because he could just come in, big body, and get you 1 or 2 touchdowns, So Herbert has praised him in training camp. We saw in week 1 with the 8 targets. So I see that continuing with an easy matchup. Easy as in defense-wise, but I think it's going to be a shootout.
All right. Cole Kmet, bro. That was your guy.
Cole, man, that Bears defense needs as many players as they can use. They had a really rough matchup. There's the same reason why nobody wanted Fields. Like, if you were in the know, you should know that Fields was not starting that game 1 against the Rams.
That's easy, yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really rough.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him either. I mean, as much as everybody wanted him to get in, I don't want my rookie quarterback going in there against Donald.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not something that we want. But, I mean, Cole Kmet, he's another pass target in an offense that really has Allen Robinson. There's a little bit of injury concern for the wide receiver that plays next to him. Man, I keep blacking out on him.
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney.
Yeah,
Darnell Mooney, he's more of a shot play type of guy, but Cole Kmet is going to be the other piece that, running seam routes down the middle of the field. And nobody really thinks of the Cincinnati Bengals, and they haven't performed like anybody to be worried about. So they're going to be in negative game script because I expect Cincinnati to put up points. So that's going to force Dalton to throw the ball and revenge game.
Easy revenge game.
Yep.
So before we end the show, man, let's knock out 2 things. Who is your top fantasy-friendly defense for the receivers?
Oh,
Tampa.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Wait, you said fantasy-friendly defense?
Friendly defense for receivers. The easiest defense for a receiver to play against.
Oh, for receivers to
play.
Say Dallas, man.
Well, at least Dallas has one player that we can name on the defense. Yeah.
Hey, I need Tampa. Everybody. Godwin, AB.
Everybody over there against ATL. Yeah, right. You know what I mean. So it's a receiver friendly defense right now because ATL doesn't have anybody. ATL defense is not good, so you're looking at those receivers to go after. What about running back?
Yeah.
What running back they're facing this week that you're like, yo, this is a good running back to play against this defense that he's gonna eat?
Well, I really like Najee Harris because of the volume this week, and if the game gets out of hand, which it should, yeah, that's going to be a defense because the way Vegas has their team set up, it's a lot of pass rushers. And if the pass rushers don't get there, then, I mean, you can run a draw play all day against this team, and everybody's going to be in the backfield while Najee Harris is already, up to the second layer of the defense. So that's definitely a fantasy friendly defensive rating.
I have mine is the Browns against the Texans. I think Chubb is gonna eat. I truly believe Hunt's gonna eat more than Chubb does. But yeah, I think that's gonna be for the running backs right there. Yo.
That's low hanging fruit, my guy. Low hanging fruit.
Two low hanging fruits, not just one.
Yeah.
So that's Pete. You got one more for us or no? Defense on running back.
Derrick Henry, man. I know you got him. So
you said tough, right? Again, thank you, Myth, for letting me get Derrick Henry. I appreciate that love, bro.
Derrick Henry is due for a massive week, and
man.
I think this comes this week in week 2. He was quiet last week.
And it's funny, he was quiet. It was only 14 points.
Yeah, you can't hold it down for too long.
Nah, bro, he gonna eat. He hungry. All right, y'all boys, man. That's it for Locker Code, man. Any shout outs?
Shout out to MITH losing to me this week.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, don't count your eggs before they hatch, my guy. I see a lot of people do that, especially after the Thursday night game.
You counted it last week, my dude.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
Put you in the coffin.
You can hear, bro.
I did.
Waller put you in that coffin strong.
I'm putting out.
That was that Undertaker call. You're like,
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Gesicki for proving everybody wrong this week. This guy is going to start no lineups. Man, this guy, and nobody is looking at him. So I think he's going to deliver. I guess I'll call it a bold prediction versus a shout out, but Mike Gesicki. Yeah,
right,
Mike Gesicki.
All right, man, that's it for Locker. Oh, go ahead, V. Go ahead.
No, I ain't got nothing to say about Mike Gesicki.
Boy, still in his feelings about Mike, bro. Jeez. That's crazy. That boy's still in his feelings about Mike Gesicki, man. It's all right, man. You just got to let it go sometimes, man. Just forget about it, bro. And that's going to be it for us, man. Thank you for listening to Locker Code with your boy C. P and Myth here, you know what I mean? Be sure to check us out on lockercode.com. Have any questions, just reach out to us on Instagram, YouTube, etc. Yeah.